All right, Gator fans, it is a good day in Gator Nation. Today is signing day for the 2025 class. And I know that feels weird to say because most players signed at early signing day in December, but today is the day we used to take off work for, scroll ESPN all day long to watch these announcements. It's kind of lost some of its luster, but the Gators did pick up their 26th commitment. I want to talk about it. Thank you very much to our sponsors, BetUS, for this video. We have really enjoyed partnering with them this season. We'll talk more about them in a little bit. Okay, so Florida's 2025 signing class is officially complete. Today, Onis Konambani put pen to paper one day after he flipped his commitment from Tennessee to Florida, making him, like I said, the 26th commitment in this class. We are going to talk about what the Gators are getting with Onis. He is a cornerback out of Columbia, South Carolina. Heathwood Hall Episcopal School is his high school. And this recruitment was really a long time in the making. So the Gators originally offered him early in 2023. That was back when Corey Raymond was still the DB's coach at Florida. And honestly, the Gators didn't make a whole lot of headway with him at the time. They were trying really hard to get him on campus for an official visit, and they didn't get one that summer. They were not one of his 5 official visits that he took in summer of 2024. But true to his nature, Billy Napier and the Gators coaching staff were relentless. They didn't give up. And eventually they got Onis to Gainesville last November. Well, Florida's persistence definitely paid off. Onis came back to campus for an unofficial visit in January, at which time he silently committed to the Gators. This is big, guys. We always talk on this channel about the importance of stealing your rivals, right? Players that your rivals want. And this is one of those. Onis is 6 foot tall. He's 185 pounds, a two-way player that was really productive in high school. I heard he can even kick a football, which I absolutely need to see as soon as he gets to Gainesville. He's the number 53 cornerback in this class, according to 247, 42 according to On3. This is the eval that 247 has. They said he's a big frame defensive back that has some of the tools required to shade the perimeter, but could also settle in as a safety at the next level. He has a unique background as he was born in Europe and played soccer throughout his youth. There's the kicking, y'all, before making his way across the pond in 2022. He is really true to size. This is something we talk about a lot in recruiting is like, well, what's your recruiting height or what's your in-person height? He is verified, little over 6 foot. He is very thick, displays explosive tendencies in the lower half while getting snaps on both defense and offense, comfortable in press man, and will use his hands to redirect assignments, can anticipate jump routes, and maybe needs to improve technique a little bit. And through his transitions, his highlight reel, really impressive, shows a player that isn't afraid to hit somebody in the mouth. And his game tape says that he is a great open field tackler. He's developed some ball skills while doubling as a wide receiver and will continue to get better in coverage. Overall, should be viewed as a green cornerback with a multi-year Power 4 starter upside that will keep progressing and see a serious uptick in competition on Saturdays, which obviously, yes, he'll be getting that in the SEC. He's older for the class, but owns a promising multi-year profile and is still new to the game. Okay, so let's talk about that eval a little bit. So this is not somebody who grew up playing American football like a lot of these kids, right? So he is incredibly green. That means he's got a ton of upside. Imagine what's going to happen with real SEC coaching. This is not somebody who's going to have done flag football their entire life, been being coached up since they were 5. So he's this good with a rough, amount of coaching. Imagine when our coaching staff gets their hands on him. I think this guy has a lot of promise. He's somebody Tennessee really didn't want to lose, and that makes this so much sweeter, right? It's always fun to steal a player from a rival. This is actually the second player that Florida has stolen from Tennessee in the 2025 class. There was a flip earlier in the year. And this is what we set out to do, right? We talk about the things that are important to do recruiting wise. You want to keep players from the state of Florida home. I'll get right back to the video, but first, I appreciate BetUS for all their support. Just quickly, make sure you're betting with them and using their code YouTube150. That'll get you a 150% signing bonus on your first deposit. You'll also get 125% on your next two deposits. All of that up to $2,000. With the Super Bowl coming up and a red hot Gator basketball team on weekly, make sure you're betting with BetUS. Onus obviously South Carolina, so he's not a Florida kid, but in general, you want to keep your Florida kids home and you want to keep kids out of the hands of your rivals. Florida has done that this recruiting season really well. They've sent a lot of really good kids from Florida. They've kept their legacy players here, and that's super important, I think, to just kind of the trajectory of the program. You always want to keep those legacy players around. They have kept players out of the hands of Florida State and Miami, which Miami finished with a better record than Florida this year. They should have finished with a better recruiting class. They didn't. Florida State, obviously, awful year, but they were undefeated in the regular season last season, weren't able to capitalize on it. Florida was. They kept players out of those two schools' hands, stolen them for Tennessee. They've gotten a couple of guys that Georgia and Alabama wanted and other major schools. This is a really successful recruiting period. We talk a lot about out recruiting your ranking on this channel, and Coach Napier has done that yet again. According to 247, we have the number 8 class in the country. Florida won 8 games this year, 7 in the regular season. They shouldn't have a top 10 class if you look at what Florida's record is. They out-recruited their record. This is a feather in Billy Napier's cap. He's been able to sell the development of the players that he has brought in over the last couple of years. He's able to sell guys that he's got in the NFL now and what he's done for their draft rankings that, guys that were maybe on the roster when he came to Florida or guys that came in the transfer portal. Development has been happening at UF, and it's showing in the pro ranks as well. And what Billy is selling is translating to these kids. And that is so important. The thing that he was brought here to do the most, obviously win, but to recruit better than the current regime. This number 8 class shows that he's doing that. Now, is number 8 going to be good in the long run? Probably not. It's going to have to continue to improve. But this is so impressive, particularly where we finished the regular season. And now that we're going to 12 games in the playoffs, number 8 consistently is going to get you there, right? It used to be that you needed to consistently have a top 5 class to have a shot at the national championship. And that's because we had a 4-team playoff. And obviously before that, the BCS system. And so to get in those big games, your talent profile had to be so incredibly large. But now, if you can finish with a top 10 class consistently and you can develop them, you should make the playoffs year in and year out. And that is what Florida's goal is at the moment. I think that they have all of the momentum headed in the right direction. If you couple what we saw at the end of last season with this class, things continue to trend the right way. And, after the Texas A&M game last year, if I had told you that Florida was going to sign the number 8 class in the country, I think we're sitting in the mid 60s at that point. And honestly, prospects looked bleak. The play on the field didn't look great. And from that point, if I would have told you that they were going to have such a great midseason turnaround and finish with a top 10 class, you probably would have called me crazy, right? But that's where we're sitting at. The Gators continue to have the momentum. Obviously, they'll head into spring. That transfer portal will open up. They were very selective in the winter portal period, and Coach Napier has talked at length about that the last few days and just said, we only have a few spots. We want to use our NIL dollars wisely, and we don't feel incredibly strongly about having a position that is such a need that we have to just take anybody we can. We want to wait for the right piece and continue to develop the pieces that we have. And I think that is the right attitude. This program is built mostly out of high school kids. And I think that is still the winning formula in college football. And it's for sure the right formula for building a consistent program, which is the goal. So guys, I think it's a great day to be a Gator. I am happy with this outcome. I hope you are too. We now turn our attention to the 2026 class. Will Griffin is, the headliner of that class at the moment. Napier has his quarterback for after Lagway. And the pieces will continue to fall. Be exciting to watch spring and see what happens, and all of those recruits will start their visits during the spring and the summer, and we'll have lots to talk about. I appreciate you guys tuning in, and as always, please make sure that you are subscribed to the channel so you don't miss anything. We've got some very cool interviews and exciting pieces headed your way very soon. Talk to you later. Go Gators.